Hello, my lovely people, and welcome to Owen's Mind, a light-hearted trip through the contents of my head and the world in general. It is Tuesday the 17th of September. My name is Owen, and this is what is on my mind today. So, how are we today? I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're being successful in whatever you're doing. Provided you're doing good things. Obviously, I don't want you to be successful if you're murdering or kicking puppies or anything, but good things, yeah, every success. As for me, I'm currently enjoying a week off work. So I've got some annual leave to take. So I'm taking a week off, and I thought it would be a nice opportunity to get the channel started and try and work out some of the kinks early on when I've got time on my hands to actually do it. So going forward, I'm going to be uploading a couple of times a week, certainly once a week on a weekend, hopefully a bit more through the week if I get the time. And the channel is just me giving my thoughts on the sort of things going on in the world and things going on in my own life. So hopefully over time you're going to get to know me a bit better. I'm going to get to know you guys a bit better through comments and Q&As and that kind of thing. So yeah, each time I upload, it's just going to be a little dialogue between me and you. I'm going to try and keep it lighthearted. There's going to be some heavy stuff in there because sometimes that's what's on my mind. But generally, I'm just going to try and keep it nice and light because there's enough bad news. So with that in mind, let's get into the first story. And the first story today is this one in Huffington Post. It's about Elon Musk, and he claims that branding a hero diver a pedo guy did not mean he was accusing him of paedophilia. Yes, so this goes back to July last year when we had 12 children and their football coach trapped in a flooded cave system in Thailand. I believe it's called the Tam Luang Cave Complex. Yeah. Anyway, big news all over the world. Musk came in with a submarine he designed so he can help, and a diver at the time called Vernon Unsworth dismissed his help, saying it was a publicity stunt and that he could stick his submarine where it hurts. Okay. Musk hit back with a tweet saying that he suspected Unsworth of being a pedo, and he deleted the tweet soon afterwards. Okay. He said he never intended to accuse the Brit of paedophilia, arguing instead he was suggesting that he was a creepy old man. Anyway, Unsworth didn't take that very well, as you wouldn't do, and he sued Musk for defamation. Musk lawyers tried to get it thrown out. The court said, no, we're going to go forward. So now his lawyers have actually suggested that by calling Mr. Unsworth a pedo, it didn't actually mean he was a paedophile. He meant it was a creepy old man instead. And apparently this is a common definition, a common usage of pedo to mean a creepy old man, and specifically a common insult used during Musk's upbringing in South Africa, and he thought it was synonymous with creepy old man and aimed at insulting one's appearance and demeanour. So yeah, that's what he's saying. He's saying, no, I didn't mean that. It was just meant to be a straightforward insult. It was not an accusation. It was just a straightforward, it was me lashing out, essentially. Here's the problem, because in the story it reveals, the lawsuit also reveals, and I'm quoting directly from the Huffington Post article, Musk hired a private investigator to probe Unsworth's background. And he also said, where is it? The specific thing here, yeah. He sent additional tweets after the pedo guy post, including one saying that he would bet someone a signed dollar that the alleged accusation was true. So this, to me, is where the argument kind of falls down. Because if you're saying, no, I didn't mean it as an accusation, it was just an insult, you don't then investigate an insult. If I call a guy an arsehole because I'm fighting with him, I don't then get an investigator to go and research that. He'll come back and say, well, he's not an arsehole, but it turns out down the back of his trousers he does have one. Doesn't really stand up. So the fact that his lawyers are now kind of backpedaling, going, no, he didn't mean it like that, he meant it like this, it was just a straightforward insult. Then how do you argue, well, why did you investigate, why did you hire an investigator to prove an insult, to prove in your mind he was a creepy old man? Because how can you prove that? You know, paedophilia is a very specific thing. There is definitive proof of it. Being a creepy old man is subjective, surely. What one person considers creepy, somebody else might consider just friendly, or, you know. So it's a bit of a mess. To me, what Musk should have done is just say, look, yeah, I was offering some help in good faith. This guy turned it down and told me to, you know, stick it where the sun don't shine, which I thought was, you know, childish. So I lashed out. I said something, you know, my bad. We don't expect celebrities and people in the public eye and politicians and things to be perfect. we're all human beings, and you do make errors, you do make mistakes, you do say things you regret. So the thing is, the problem is now enough time has gone on that I don't think that that is going to wash now. You've left it too late to actually go, look, my bad, I said something, it was childish, I'm sorry. So don't know how this one's going to go, but it's going to be interesting. But his lawyers have said um, the tweet cannot be defamatory because the statement was not made with malice, a requirement of the US Constitution's First Amendment. So I don't know which way it's going to go. For me, he should have apologised at the time. He should have said, look, it was childish. The thing is, the problem is, for me, the investigation kind of doubles down on it. It kind of says that he stands by it, and now I'm going to find proof of it. So, bit of a big mess, but there you go. Let's move on. Story number 2. This is in the Metro, and the main reason I'm doing this is because the author managed to get so many puns into the article. It's brilliant. So basically, farmers in Australia are having a hard time after vats of bull semen were destroyed in a fire. Okay, so yeah, okay. So there was a fire. It doesn't say in the article how it started, but there was a fire at this storage facility, and 100 cryogenic cylinders exploded, splattering their contents throughout the building. And this is in Gippsland, Victoria. So there's a substantial dollar value to it. This semen is stored, obviously, for sale for farmers to help inseminate their stock. So it is quite a big deal, okay? But yeah, okay, I'm going to read directly from this article because they're completely trolling the reader. Okay, so here we go. Liquid inside the cylinder is rapidly expanding, and essentially the lids of the cryogenic cylinders were just popping off the top of the projectiles being thrown from the building. That led firefighters to go into defensive mode, beating off any substances heading their way towards neighbouring buildings. Firefighters have never had anything to do with the artificial insemination side of things before. They moistened the flames for more than 2 hours before they got a grip of the situation and brought the fire under control. Vice Chairman Aaron Thomas told ABC he didn't see it coming, and added that farmers who had semen in the building, for them it would be a huge blow. So fair play, loads of puns in there, and I just thought it was amusing. Obviously, it's sad that these guys are going to lose all this stock which they needed. Hopefully, it won't have too much of an impact on them, but just fair play to the author of the article for just throwing all that in there, trying to make light of a pretty, nasty situation. Moving on. So, Banksy, this is in the New York Times, has got painting coming up for auction on the 3rd of October, and it is called Devolved Parliament, which was done in 2009. It's a big thing. It's 14 feet across, and it's going up for auction, and the auction estimate is between 1.5 and 2 million pounds. So, big money. And the painting itself, Devolved Parliament, just depicts Parliament. It's painted in very kind of neutral, dowdy colours, like a lot of the paintings that hang in the Houses of Parliament and the Commons are. But all the parliamentarians are chimps in suits, arguing, and it's just a big raucous, and it's just a statement on the state of politics, and it's particularly relevant at the minute because of Brexit and everything like that, and the fact that the Parliament does look like it's run by primates at the minute because, yeah, let's face it, the Brexit thing's a whole mess. But what's significant about it is it's almost a year to the day this is going to be auctioned to when Girl with a Balloon was auctioned, and it's at the same auction house. Now, Girl with a Balloon famously went up for auction and I think it sold for around the £1 million mark, and just as the gavel went down, the painting remotely decided to shred itself. So half of the painting went through a shredder in the bottom of the frame, hidden in the frame, and then the shredder jammed. And apparently Banksy put out a statement going, it was supposed to shred the lot, and it was about the kind of ridiculousness of the values put on things at auction, etc., etc., etc. The lady who bought it has kept it because apparently she was happy with the purchase, the fact that half of it still remains, and it's now on display in a museum, I think in Germany. And because of the notoriety of it, it's probably actually worth more than what she paid now. So there's a lot of talk about, is something similar going to happen here with this one? They suspect not, because it's not been sold by Banksy himself. It was bought from him by another person, and that person is actually auctioning it. The quote is from Banksy's publicist, Joanna Brooks. She said in an email, "The painting in question is being sold by the owner, who is in no way associated with the artist Banksy." But you've got to think, yeah, well, you would say that, wouldn't you? You would subvert that. So is something going to happen? I mean, they're not going to shred it. It's 14 feet long. It's huge. So if that's your kind of thing, if you've got a spare £2 million and you want a Banksy, there you go. Sotheby's, I think it's October 3rd this year. That's going to be up for sale. So there you go. Moving on, number 4. Right, this is an MSN. Cockpit coffee spillage forces transatlantic flight diversion. So on the 6th of February, an Airbus A330 flight from Frankfurt to Germany to Cancun, Mexico, had to turn back and land in Shannon Island because the pilot spilled coffee all over the an audio panel. So yes, he was having a brew. He spilt it on an audio panel in the cockpit, causing significant communication difficulty for the pilots and leading to an electrical burning smell and smoke. Okay, no injuries. Fantastic, and the plane landed safely. So 326 passengers, 11 crew on board. The report said the 49-year-old captain had placed his coffee on a tray table where objects were vulnerable to being knocked over, despite Airbus recommending that the cup holders provided be used. The Air Accident Investigation Board noted that because the cups are small, the holders make it difficult for somebody to grasp them. So essentially, the cup holders are bigger than the cups that are used within them. So what happens is if you put the cup in, it either slips through and then you can't then get it out with, So, however, this is a quote. However, putting a lid on the coffee cup may have reduced the amount of coffee spilled. You think? Yeah. Putting a lid on something generally stops it being spilled, or certainly helps. Yes. So apparently there's new guidelines which are going to be Condor, the company who ran it, is ensuring that cup lids are provided on all flights and has reminded pilots to be careful with liquids and supplying cups that are appropriate sizes for the cup holders. Why was this not done? I drive a truck for a living. I'm grounded and I cannot have a drink when it's in motion. This is an aircraft with lots of people on board and a significant value attached to it. Yeah. And just as a little side note, I was a private pilot. So tiny stuff in no way you can compare. But even so, you don't have any kind of liquids when you're flying. You wouldn't have had that. I'm surprised they're allowed liquids when they're in control anyway, because the same reason you're not when I'm driving. If you are carrying out a task and you have hot liquid and you burn yourself or you cough or something while you're doing a maneuver or adjusting a control, you can, it can cause problems. So why? I don't know, but they did. But thankfully no one was injured. They've put this new thing in place now, so hopefully it won't happen again. But yeah, it's estimated that the cost of a diversion is anywhere between £10,000 and £80,000, depending on the size of the aircraft and where it diverts to. And obviously all them passengers had to, I don't know, the airline would have to cover hotels and another flight because it wasn't their fault. So the plane had to divert, so they would have had to put them up, find other flights and all this kind of stuff, and just because they had the wrong size cup. There you go. Okay, moving on, story number 5. This is on CNN, and this is Sophia. Sophia is a robot. It can represent a number of emotional states, and she can see emotional expressions on the human face as well, according to her creator, David Hanson. So yeah, this is about AI. So apparently Sophia has been around since 2016, I believe. This speaks to a much bigger debate. So the story itself is literally just telling you about this Sophia, this, I don't know if you call it an AI or a cyborg or what it is. It's essentially the top half of a person. It's mounted on something. So it's not a full body, it's literally a face. It's got these latest skin texture materials and things, and it can mimic. It's now got enough, I'll use just make sure I'm getting this right. It's something like it's got every muscle in the face, in the human face, it has on this AI, so she can mimic any expression, and she can also recognize expressions in human beings and determine in her own way what that person is feeling, because obviously emotions are incredibly complex, but this thing can actually look at your face, can see your expression, and then based on that can decide your mood. And yeah, it's just kind of interesting the way this kind of technology is going now. This kind of, I don't see, just for me, the real benefit of it. I'm sure there is some, but for me, I'm just a bit lost on it. We've got so many billions of people we can interact with. Why a machine? If you can make a machine smarter than us, and there is, and the computing power is phenomenal on these things now, and they can solve incredibly complex equations and help us out with design and just all kinds of, you know, incredibly complex questions that would take years and years for us to calculate out, they can now do. Brilliant. Why does it need a face? Why does it need to look like us? Because this one, Sophia, has actually done modelling. It's appeared on talk shows, and let me just get this right. It has been granted citizenship by Saudi Arabia. It's now a Saudi Arabian citizen. It's got this kind of status. So these lines are blurring now between, you know, what is to be a human being and this machine, and now it's kind of moving together, and there is now these blurred lines. And obviously there's people now testing out things like RFID implants, so you can, you know, control things around your home. You can have your bank card and travel cards and things inserted in little chips in your hand, and I'm not sure it's where we really want to be going. That's just my feeling. You know, other people may feel different. They might think, no, it's brilliant, technology is great. And technology is great, I love technology, but I don't need it to look like me. I'm quite happy interacting with it as a machine. It's not like I need to feel this emotional connection to my technology. I don't. I love technology, and I use it, you know, all the time. I'm using it right now. But my laptop doesn't have a face. I don't need it to. So I don't understand quite the, you know, the need for it. I suppose to give it some personality. But yeah, it's a bit creepy, isn't it? Don't you think? You know what I mean? I mean, you look at something like movie Ex Machina. I love movies. Ex Machina is a brilliant film. I absolutely love that film. And it is kind of like, you know, this is a path that we could eventually end up on. You know, if we get these things to a point where they learn and they are sentient and they realize what they are. You know, I mean, probably not in my lifetime. You know, we're talking decades and decades away, but I don't know. I just don't. If you know, if you've got if you personally, if you think, yeah, I'd like my AI, I'd like my tech to have more of a more emotional connection with it, and, you know, giving it a face and a body and a voice, you know, would help that, then stick it in the comments, let me know, because for me, I just can't get it. I mean, the gentleman who designed it, he wanted it to resonate with people around the world, so he looked at statues of Nefertiti and Chinese paintings and Audrey Hepburn and apparently his wife for inspiration. And his quote says, it was very important that she represent this intersection of humanity and technology, with the intuitive idea that technology can enhance humanity. Okay. It's a noble effort, it is, but it's kind of lost on me, which I'm sure he's not going to lose any sleep over. So, yeah. There we go. So that was a few stories for today for you. So, yeah. That's it, guys. So what do you think about these stories today? Anything you want to add? Anything that you disagree with what I've said? Because, you know, disagreement is absolutely fine. Whatever you think, use the comments to share your thoughts. These were mine. They're not necessarily important. They're not necessarily right or wrong. They're just what was on my mind. So until next time, have a good day.